Moved by Councillor Caxero, supported by Councillor Bondi. Any questions to the motion? Deputy Mayor Meloche.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Caxero. So Councillor Caxero, are you thinking that we would have the OPP come in before the open houses or after, or what was your thoughts?
Councillor Caxero.
Through your worship. So I don't think there's any real reason that there has to be a certain format to it. I think if we identify a period of time, and I'll call it 2 months, that we're going to do the 3 consultations in the 3 different centers and also have the OPP come in and present. We'll say that all 4 of those things will happen over the course of that period of time, whether we have one meeting, one public consultation meeting and then the OPP present and then the other 2, or whether we have 2 and then the OPP in the last one. It really doesn't matter to me. I don't think it matters, but I do think it matters to go out for public consultation. But I'd like to also hear from the OPP. I think we know what the OPP stance is going to be, and certainly after the vote on this motion, I would invite Council to allow Sergeant Coulter to come up and speak if he wants to briefly. But I think we know the stance of the OPP, but certainly they can make their presentation. I think it would be important for us to see that.
Okay. Anyone else to the motion? Oh, Councillor Bjorkman and Councillor Bondi.
Just to that, I can't agree that it's time for public consultation yet. Our administration has come to us and said that they're not in favor. They don't think this is the right thing to do. So we really don't have what's our project going forward. I think we need to take the time to decide what it is we're looking for, put some parameters around it, have our discussion with the OPP and our administration, and at that point, we'll take it to the public. And we need their input. I agree with that. But as far as putting a time frame together of the next 2 months, having 3 separate open houses, I think we're putting a little too much, I don't know if it's pressure, but that's a lot to ask for something that we haven't even begun the journey. So I think it's great. We need to start looking at it. We need to get the information from our neighbors that have already got these programs in place, speak with our policing and our administration at that point. Then it's time to start talking about open houses.
Thank you, sir. Councillor Bondi and then Councillor Vokes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I really don't think there's a need for our staff sergeant to speak to us tonight because we are going to hear from him at a later date when Councillor Snively is here as well. A timeline for myself would be personally to reach out to the OPP and have them come first and then see how we feel as a council as a whole after that before even moving forward and wasting any more time on the issue. That would be my timeline, is invite the OPP when all of us are here.
Thank you. Councillor Vokes.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, like, why are we reinventing the wheel? Because that's what we're doing here. We're reinventing the wheel. There's other municipalities already have the process in place. It's very simple. I don't think they would be reluctant and that secure and hanging on to that document where a cordial call to them, where they send it over, that's sent to council, we review it based on what that is saying, and just move from there. Let's not make it complicated, people. Just let's get the draft bylaw from another municipality. We'll benchmark what they're doing, and we'll say yay or nay. It's as easy as that. Just as easy as that.
Okay. Anything further? Councillor Caxero, you have the final word.
Through your worship, just a point of clarification, Councillor Bjorkman stated that I mentioned in the next 2 months to do this. I was just giving an example. It might not happen until January. It might take 3 months to do. I was just simply giving an example. With respect to Councillor Bondi's comments of hearing from the OPP first, then we might not even have public consultation. I think because we've kicked this can a few times, and I haven't been on council, but we've kicked this can a few times at this council and come back with the same result. But the one thing that's been missing out of the equation is public consultation. We might get an overwhelming response that the general population does not want to see this. That, to me, would be a strong signal that what's been decided in the past is what our public want. But without doing that, I don't think we really know that. Certainly we know that there's some that are in favor of it because they have come forward. But I would like to have the public open houses so that we know, and certainly if people don't show up, then that's an indication to me that they're either neutral on the situation or they don't care enough about it. So if we have the 3 open houses, I think it affords the opportunity to the general public to have comment on the issue. So I think it's important regardless. And the time frame, I'll leave that up to administration to tell us when they feel it can be done and how long it's going to take.
Okay, Mr. Auger, would you like to clarify the motion made?
Councillor Caxero, I just want to clarify the motion. My understanding is the motion is for administration to contact and consult with the town of Lakeshore and towards working towards developing a plan for 3 public consultation meetings, and to contact the OPP and ask them to come and give a presentation at some point in order to obtain feedback on the recreational use of ATVs on municipal roads.
Correct.
And Councillor Bonner?
And then I'll get
Okay.
direction from you after.
Ready for the question? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
Report number 7E on the agenda, Communications Report number 2016-001, 42nd Parallel Tourism Initiatives. That the said report providing council with an update on efforts to market and promote the town of Essex be received.
Thank you. Councilor Bundy?
Thank you. If I may, Mr. Chair, thank you very much. Boy, when those 42s were going on our roads, it created quite a buzz, and everybody was like, what are they doing? And then once it caught on, they're like, oh, okay. And, there was a little bit of squawking about the cost. Why don't they redo our roads instead of paying money to put the stickers on them? Like, the stickers are like a small little fraction just to market our area, and I think it's working, and I think it's great. I've been tasked to put in a little plug about a local business in the area that would like to be included in the next stage of the marketing. The Colchester Bar and Grill down there around the 42nd Parallel has been one of the key businesses in that region, and everybody recognizes and is aware of the Colchester Bar and Grill, and it's really been a staple to the community. So, it's known for having bikes, but it's certainly a great, friendly location. So hopefully in the next round of materials we can put something fancy that promotes them as well, because they've been a great business partner in our community. So I love it. I love the 42nd Parallel initiatives, and I think we need to take it and run with it.
Thank you. Someone like to move receipt? Councillor Bergman, Councillor Oakes, any question? I'd like to make one comment, like Councillor Bundy did. We had the Legion picnic out at Kubota Park in Colchester yesterday. I had about 3 people come up and ask me, what does that 42 mean on the highway there? So they're noticing it, and it is going to be, an advantage to our municipality along with Kingsville, because it's over on the Arner too. That's where the 42nd Parallel runs across. So great. Ready for the question? Councillor Volk?
No.
Oh, all in favor? Motion carries. Councillor Volk?
Mayor, I was just wondering, can we have somebody turn that air conditioner, if everybody is okay with it? It's not about what I want, but if we could turn that air conditioning down maybe a little bit. It's getting a little cool in here. I see people pulling sweaters on, so.
You cold?
Yeah, it's cool in here right now.
Okay. Who's got the phone to the Doug? You got the phone to it there? If I knew what I was doing, I'd do it.
All right.
I know I'm cold, because look, my ring doesn't even come on.
Oh, right there. Oh, it's good.
No, why didn't somebody from the administration do it for a week?
You're gonna warm me up.
It is cold.
Oh, yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Can we, Doug, can we have somebody look at that and get it, like, instead of just walking up and cranking a button on the wall and hope for the best?
Yes,
Your
Mr.
worship,
Sweet?
it's through a computerized system, so I'm just sending it to them to
Yeah,
adjust it.
thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Report 7F on the agenda this evening, Corporate Services, report number 2016-09, with reference to 71 King Street West, for receipt, and that administration be directed to proceed with the designated substance assessment and demolition of the building at 71 King Street, Harrow, with the cost of these works for that demolition in 2016, with the cost to be funded through the 2017 capital budget.
Okay, we can go to Mrs. Donna Hunter, Director of Corporate Services and Treasurer first,
Through
please.
you, Your Worship, I just want to point out in this report, I've given you a cost that we've been quoted for demolition and for the designated substance assessment of $63,000. However, what we don't know prior to the DSA is whether there is asbestos present, and if there is, that would have to be removed before demolition. Also, what we don't know is what the impact will be on the abutting property, if there is a common wall or something that we discover upon demolition. So if I were to give you a quote right now in terms of the highest, or what I think might cover all of that, would be about $125,000. If we were to budget, that's what we would budget at this point. I've also provided you with some options in terms of future use of that property. I'm not expecting a decision from that tonight. Administration will discuss it further and will bring forward a recommendation in the budget deliberations.
Okay, thank you, and I'd like to thank you, Mrs. Hunter, for showing up while you're on vacation to give us further input into this. Thanks. Councilor Bundy?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this property has been like a torch relay with one administrator to another administrator about chefs in Harrow, in Harrow Center. So the town has received the property, and now we're looking to demo it, and there's a couple options: retain it for a passive park, convert it into a parking lot, or I thought at one point we were looking to sell it as a vacant lot. But I guess we're just really happy right now that it's being demoed, and we'll take it. It's better than the hideous building that's there. So we're looking to approve this before the budget is set for 2017, is that correct?
Through you, Your Worship, yes, we would budget for it in 2017, but we would do the work now.
Okay, do we need a motion?
Yes.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion that the report be received and that we proceed with the designated substance assessment and the demolition.
I'll second that.
Councilor Volk supports. Any questions? Councilor Caxero?
Through your worship, just a comment. I would like to be cautious in proceeding to sell the property, just in case, and things sometimes change. I want to make sure if we are going to sell the property, we have the right buyer, that something is going to be done with the property, that it won't just sit vacant and grow weeds, and then potentially us being in a position to try to do something with that further once it's already not in our hands. So I'm certainly in favor of the demolition and cleaning up that corner, and I think we need to make sure we think hard about what we're going to do with it at that point.
Okay, ready for the question? All in favor? Motion carries.
7H, Chief Administrative Officer, report number 2016-04, with respect to prohibiting excessive idling of vehicles. I believe Chief Administrative Officer Pilon Abs will also speak to this and or answer any questions that council may have.
Mrs. Pilon-Apps?
Thank you. Again, I wanted to highlight a few key points to this council report that's before you this evening. The council had asked administration to review excessive idling of vehicles within the town of Essex as a result of some discussion, and take a look at what the city of Windsor has done up to this point in time. The city of Windsor actually was the very first municipality in all of Ontario, starting in 2001, that enacted a bylaw. They most recently, in June of this year, approved an amendment to that bylaw, and they reduced the permitting idling time from 5 minutes to 3 minutes. Now, on average, they're 311 call center had received about 157 requests since 2009. 85 requests had been referred to their bylaw enforcement officer, and their fine is $100 for their bylaw. And of course, if it goes to court, they can set that fine more if it's a repeat offender. The Windsor amendment should also note that they did include boats and commercial vehicles, and it does not include when you're obeying traffic controls, traveling the portion through a drive-through or in a loading zone. Now, just for discussions for council, administration agrees that steps taken to improve air quality would be beneficial to the environment. However, it's not felt that we have the capacity to be proactive, because one of the major challenges to enforcement is that an OPP officer or a bylaw enforcement officer must be present during the entire duration of the infraction. So in Windsor's situation, they would have to be there for the entire 3 minutes to be able to apply the fine. One alternative approach that administration is suggesting, even to start off with, is a public education campaign. There are certain things that we could do with advertisements, signs. We can ask for private sector involvement so that they can put signage on their private properties, such as malls, restaurants, and so on. Schools would be another one. They could ask people to be encouraged to turn off their engines when they're parked, even some technology that you can actually add into your vehicle, which would be an automotive shutdown or startup devices. These are also things that you can negotiate when you purchase your new vehicles. Administration can do our part at our end. As part of the fleet services, we could develop a policy that would help promote idling reduction. We currently have the technology with our GPS systems that could monitor idling, that we could start imposing requirements encouraging administration and staff to reduce municipal vehicle idling. We can also look at our purchasing policy for future purchases. We could look at more hybrid vehicles and ultra fuel efficient cars and trucks. However, if council does still want to go that direction of moving forward with a bylaw, the same steps are recommended, that we be asked that the direction be put to council, we draft a bylaw, we come forward and we do public consultation. The bylaw would include certain things like definitions. There are temperature exemptions, location exemptions, the type of vehicle exemptions as well. And then, of course, if we move to approving a bylaw, prior to actually issuing any tickets, we would have to set that fine amount and go to the Attorney General's office for approval for any of those fines. So if council does go that direction, there will be some financial impacts with respect to public consultation. We may need to take a look at staffing as well of bylaw enforcement officers, and identify how proactive you want to be with respect to your bylaw. So the recommendation before you is that you receive the report and that you direct administration to undertake a public education campaign to help prohibit excessive idling of vehicles and boats.
Okay, I have Councilor Bundy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, depending on which sign I look at, I have 790 days or 791 days until I hope to see an idling bylaw. But in the meantime, I understand if council doesn't jump right in with 2 feet with a bylaw. I personally would like to see a bylaw, and I'd like to lead by example, just like how Essex has done with animal welfare throughout the county. But I understand that it's a big issue, and we probably should take some baby steps and start with public education. If we do a good job with public education for a year, the bylaw will come in easy and it'll be more natural. So I think this council can do many things. Our county council reps can talk about it at county council. Our CAO can talk about it at the regional CAO meetings. We can also, at AMO, we learned about carbon footprint. We can include, if we research it, we can include a section on our tender documents that speak to carbon footprint, meaning that when we are putting jobs out there, and we will all like this is local, when we are putting jobs out there, one of the tender specs says, what is the carbon footprint for this job, and we can give a rating on a tender with carbon footprint. So, and another thing that we learned at AMA was health policies, health in all policy. We put on our health lens when we're writing every policy, when we're writing animal welfare policies, when we're writing, uniform policies. We want to look at the health. So this fits right into the direction that we want to go in terms of municipal governments are responsible for the health of their residents. Nobody's really jumping up and down right now saying we need an anti-idling bylaw because air quality is still okay. When we have a series of air quality days in Windsor, Essex, where our air is not okay, then everybody's going to get on the bandwagon. But I'm saying that we should lead by example, get on the bandwagon now, and then we can start hitting up some of these idling vehicles that are in our municipality, wasting our tax dollars. So yes, this is the step in the right direction. I agree with the recommendations. Let's work heavily on public education. I'm hoping that a bylaw is natural and will follow suit, just like the smoking. Start with our municipal vehicles. That's a big thing because we lead by example. If residents see municipal vehicles idling, then they think it's okay too. So I would like to thank our CEO for this report, and I'm hoping council agrees with the recommendations.
Thank you. Councillor Caxero?
I'd be prepared to move the recommendations.
Okay, do we have a seconder? Councillor Bondi. Councillor Vokes?
Thank you, Worship. In terms of education and educating the people, so that's the format it's built on. I'll go back to when the question was originally raised, I think a couple months ago. At that time, you were going to appoint Doug Sweet to educate everybody. So I just want to know, who is it and how are we going to educate? What's the education format look like? How's that spelled out? We just going to say we educate and then what do we do?
Through you, Mr.
Okay.
Mayor, working with our communications officer, we'll develop a strategy that would tap into as many opportunities as possible that's as cost efficient as possible. So social media is probably the #1 ways that we could get out the word. Poster campaigns, working with youth in schools, especially right when they're starting to learn how to drive, dealing with different stakeholder groups. There are certain key tips that we could promote slowly, such as warming up cars by driving rather than idling, not using your remote car starter, use it only sparingly, using block heaters on cold winter days, asking business owners to post signs. We could take a look at our budget to see if we can post signs in some of our areas that may be prone to idling, such as drop-off and delivery areas. We'll be working with malls and commercial properties that tend to have people kind of running in real quickly to the bank or to the variety store, leaving their cars idling. We would try to tap into as many of those opportunities as possible.
Thank you. Who do I have next? Councillor Vokes?
No, that's it.
No. Councillor Caxero?
Through your worship, I certainly agree with the recommendation. With regards to a bylaw, I have some reservation, as I had mentioned before. I don't want to see us creating bylaws that can't be enforced. So if we are going to be creating bylaws in the future with regards to this, I want to make sure that our bylaw enforcement officer department is able to accommodate another bylaw. I think we already have plenty of bylaws that we don't enforce, and I think some of the issue is manpower. So certainly going forward to consider that, I want to see the results of us being able to prove that we're going to be able to patrol this if we're going to create a bylaw.
Thank you. Ready for the question? All in favor? Motion carries.
Item 9 on the agenda. Your Worship, you had recently provided Council with background on a request received by County Council asking that they support the City of Thorold's resolution requesting the federal government to, three things, to requesting that the federal government legislate a ban on asbestos across Canada, that a national registry be created listing all public buildings known to contain asbestos, and then thirdly, as well as a national registry of workers who have been diagnosed with asbestos-related diseases with the intention of being tracked by the Canadian Centre for Occupational Health and Safety. I believe the intent of your worship was to seek such similar support from the town of council, or from the town of Essex tonight, and to send a letter accordingly in support thereof.
Exactly right, Chair. At our last county council meeting, we had a presentation from Brian Hogan, UP, and there's a big write-up in the Windsor Star, you know, about how bad the asbestos problem in our whole world is. So it was passed by the county council that we send all these letters to the Prime Minister, and I think there were 3 or 4 major ones. And I made a motion at county council that we send that to each municipality so that we would all support this, each municipality, and, you know, when it hits the government, all those different places, that they would get the message from a lot more than just one county council of Essex. And this started in the town of Thorold. The mayor there got it started. So my recommendation was that it come to each one of us, and I would hope that we would do the same thing as the county did, and I hope every other municipality in our county would do. Councillor Caxero.
Through your worship, I'll move receipt and support sending off the same resolution from this council.
Second.
Supported by Councillor Bjorkman. Any question to the motion? Comments? I see you have the copy too, Councillor. Thanks. Right on. And ready for the question? All in favor? Motion carries. Thank you.
Item 10 on the agenda, 10A, correspondence to be received by council, that the correspondence in items 10A, items 1 to 4 be received.
Moved by Councillor Bjorkman, supported by Councillor Bondi. Questions? All in favor? Motion carries.
Item 10B, correspondence to be considered for receipt and/or support. Item 10B1, that correspondence asking that the Essex Council consider participating in the Franco-Ontario Day by holding a flag-raising ceremony on Thursday, September 22nd, 2016, to honor the legacy of Franco-Ontarians in our community, be received and supported.
Moved by Councillor Bondi, supported by Councillor Caxero. Questions? All in favor? Motion carries.
Item 10B, subsection 2, Town of Lakeshore resolution, that the resolution from the Town of Lakeshore seeking support of their resolution suggesting that the additional cost incurred for the 2015 Pan Am Games and Para-Pan Am Games should be funded by the City of Toronto for receipt or receive and support.
Move, receipt, and support.
Moved by Councillor Bjorkman, supported by Deputy Mayor Meloche. Questions? All in favor? Motion carries.
Item 10B, subsection 3, Harold and Colchester South Chamber of Commerce, that said correspondence dated August 8th, asking council to consider the balance from this year's budget of approximately $42,000 to be transferred to next year's budget to continue beautification improvements for Harold and Colchester, be received or received and supported.
Moved by Councillor Bondi, supported by Councillor Caxero. Councillor Bondi, comment.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think there's just a misunderstanding with the letter from the chamber. The chamber has all intentions of spending the $42,000 that we gave them from 2015. They didn't spend it in 2015, so it was a carryover to 2016, and they hope to spend it by the end of 2016. So they're asking for another commitment from council to the 2017 budget. So if we could just earmark the $50,000 that we'd given them before, again, for budget deliberations.
Councillor Bonnie, is the motion for receive and support on that?
Yes, but it's It's request to transfer unused money, but it's the request to get more money. I think Ms. Hunter knows what I mean. We gave them money in 2015. They didn't use it, so that's the $42,000. They have that earmarked. They're working with Jeff Watson to spend that money. They're looking for more money in 2017, and I told them to get their letter into council sooner rather than later, because if we're all doing budgets, it should go in now to be deliberated.
Okay.
Councillor Caxero.
Through your worship, and I've had some discussion with Councillor Bondi since she is the council rep for the chamber. The only thing that I would like to see coming forward from them, in their explanation here, they say that they're requesting for additional monies in the 2017 budget for signage improvements, planters, more trees, to be a part of the beautification for Harold Colchester South. I would just ask, and hopefully Councillor Bondi can take back the message, and I would suggest that council would agree. It would be nice if we could have a more specific plan. Where is it that they want signage improved? What signage? Where are they going to be putting the planters? Where are they going to be putting the trees? It would be nice to kind of follow their plan a little more specifically. It's a pretty vague plan. Like, certainly, it's not that I don't believe that they're going to do what they say they're going to do, but I'd like to know where exactly they're proposing to do these things. So if we could maybe have that message passed along to them, and potentially prior to us looking at the 2017 budget, it'd be nice to have that in hand, because it makes it a little more easy, I think, to fight for that cause.
Thank you, sir. Anything further? All in favor of the motion? Motion carries.
Item 10B, subsection 4, Denise and Jim Rohde, 281 Center Street, request for relief from bylaw 1435, that said correspondence be received and the request for relief from bylaw number 1435 be granted.
Support.
Support.
Moved by Councillor Bondi, supported by, moved by Councillor Vogt, supported by Councillor Bondi. Questions? All in favor? Motion carries.
Item 11 on the agenda, committee meeting minutes. That the committee meeting minutes in items 11A through C be received, adopted, and the recommendations contained therein approved as presented.
Support.
Moved by Councillor Bondi, supported by Councillor Caxero. Questions? All in favor? Motion carries.
Item 12, financial. 12A, June 2016 bank payments. That the June 2016 check register be ratified as submitted.
Moved by Councillor Caxero, supported by Councillor Bjorkman. Questions? All in favor? Motion carries.
Item 12B, 2016 capital report. That the capital report for the month ending July 31st, 2016 be received.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Meloche, supported by Councillor Caxero. Questions? All in favor? Motion carries.
Item 12C, 2016 operating report. That the operating report for the month ending July 31st, 2016 be received.
Moved by Councillor Caxero, supported by Councillor Bjorkman. Questions? Councillor Vogt?
Thank you, Worship. I support A, B, and C, but I'm asking at the next council meeting if I could get a financial breakdown of the cost to attend conferences in 15 and 16 to date, including per diems, please. Thank you.
Okay. So noted.
Item 13 on the agenda, new business. Item 13A, Councillor Bondi speaking to rural streetlights using money from the 2016 budget.
Councillor Bondi.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's actually in in my ward, it's one urban streetlight that we've been kind of talking about for the past, I would say, year and a half. And Chris isn't here tonight, but there's an email that says he's got it quoted for approximately $10,000 to $12,000. So I know that council has a little bit of money left, around, I'm not sure, $110,000 left from our 2016 budget. So just looking to see if council would grant permission to spend $10,000 to $12,000 on a light in Harrow Center. I know there's other lights that have come up under discussion, but I will only speak for that one, and then and we can take it from here. If we want to talk about more lights, I'd be welcome to that.
Point of order. I think
Councillor.
we should vote on that last motion before we make another motion.
Yes, Your Worship, item 12C on operating report, there was a mover and a seconder, but we ultimately didn't vote on the question of receiving that report.
Okay, ready for the question? All in favor? Motion carries. Thank you. Was that a request to consider it, Councillor
Thank
Bundy?
you.
Sorry.
Yes, well, there was a few emails about different lights and looking at prices for certain lights, and Chris did come back with a price for the light located at Wellington and Erie and Harrow Center, and it came back as $10,000 to $12,000. And I asked for it to be put in 2016's budget deliberations. It never made it through. My understanding is we still have $110,000 left in the 2016 budget. So I'm asking council tonight to grant the money for that light. And you can either support it or not, but I'm going to ask for it again in 2017 if we don't.
I'll support that. So that was in the form of a motion
Yes, please.
and supported by Councillor Vokes. To the motion, any discussion? Councillor Caxarel and then Deputy Mayor Meloche.
Through your worship, there was actually more than just the light in Harrow that was discussed with those emails. There was also two lights in the Ducharme subdivision, just to the north of McGregor. And I had also mentioned lighting on Rizzo Nicola. Unfortunately, the lighting on Rizzo Nicola is a little bit different. There has to be some sort of a study done to tell us how many lights would need to be put on the street, because if we don't do that and the lights aren't placed in the proper locations or enough lights are placed, then we could be in an issue with any type of accident that would happen down there. So because Rizzo Nicola is a little bit more complex, I would suggest that in the motion we include at least the other two lights on the north end of McGregor, so that those can also get done, and maybe for 2017 we'll look and see if we're going to do something with Rizzo Nicola.
I'll take that as a friendly amendment.
So, Councillor, speaking through the chair, on the motion, is it for the lights Wellington and Erie and Ducharme and 12?
Correct.
Okay, you finished, Councillor Caxarel?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Deputy Mayor Meloche.
Thank you through you, Mr. Mayor. Councillor Kexer already brought the two lights that I was going to bring to council's attention. There's two entrances into Ducharme subdivision off the 12th concession in McGregor. It might have been an oversight years ago when we put the plan of subdivision together that we should have had lighting at those entrances perhaps years ago. But I've had a number of calls from residents in that area concerned about safety issues with, it's pretty dark in that end of the town, trying to turn into those lanes or pulling out, or even persons walking in that area. Thank you.
Anything further? I just have a question of mainly Deputy Mayor Meloche, possibly, with regards to the two, I believe, that we get from the county each year. Would any of these fall under that platform?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to answer your question, these two locations would not have been included because they were more in an urban setting. And the rural lighting program is just that, it's rural intersections. Thank you.
Because I know at the AMO conference, some of us were small urban and some of us were rural, you know, from the town of Essex. So all depends who you're talking to, I guess, what we are. Thank you. Ready for the question? All in favor of the motion? Motion carries.
Item 13B on new business is Councillor Vokes speaking to reimbursement to taxpayers for library services due to strike.
Councillor Vokes. Thank you, Councillor Bundy.
Thank you, Your Worship. I certainly want to have the discussions tonight with council about, in terms of what it's costing the taxpayers in which I represent to have this strike going into, I believe it's 59th day. And how that, as a councillor, I'm not taking sides. I want that to be known for the record. But I have a diligence to represent the people in my ward and in my municipality. And when there's not a service that they are paying for available to them, then they need to be reimbursed. No question about it. No question about it. One would suggest that, well, what about this service when it's not running, and what about that? And it's not about what about this, and it's not what about that. I don't care about what about this and what about that. What I care about is the library. The library has been out now for 59 days. And in that 59 days, the taxpayers, just on wages alone, have paid almost $200,000 for this strike to take place. Taxpayers that I represent. And I don't care what's going on with the board. I don't care what's going on with CUPE. I care what's going on with the taxpayers and what they're paying. And I want that money given back to them. I don't want it debated whether it should be given back to them. That money should just be given back to them. Because I'm going to speak for myself now. And if I got to go down there, I will. I'm going to speak as a delegate and not as a councillor and as a taxpayer. That's my money, and I simply want it back. I don't want excuses. I don't want anything. I want my money back. And that lady right there and that gentleman sitting beside could easily determine how much that money is. If it's the price of a cup of coffee at Tim Hortons, I want it. I'll take it right now. And we have a diligence to make sure they get their money back. I don't think anybody sitting at this table should agree that we should be taking that money, because my question is this. Those hundreds of, and by the way, that $200,000 I'm talking about is not even talking about what taxpayers are paying for security. It's not talking about what taxpayers are paying for to keep the staff paid, who aren't doing anything on it, absolutely nothing on a daily basis. It's not talking about what they're paying to use facilities to talk about strikes and have the discussions taking place. My guess is, as a taxpayer, tentatively, give or take a few percentile, right now I'm probably on the hook for about $350,000, if not more. I want my money back. And I'm speaking on behalf of all the taxpayers. And I hope there's not a councillor sitting at this bar right now says that they, who represent people, have no interest in getting that money back for the taxpayers. Now, there's a way we could get that money back, and I'm hoping they do it, and that's get back to the table. Get back to the table and bring a new sense of direction back to the table, a new interest back to the table, a new enlightening back to the table, and a new approach back to the table, because I know what's happening right now. I've been in the union environment at Chrysler's for 33 years. I know what's happening. They're holding their heads under the water right now until they can't hold their breath no more. But they're not running out of breath, people. And I'm only speaking, again, as a taxpayer. They got scuba tanks on their back, and it's not going to quit early.
Point of order, Mr. Mayor. Motion, if he's going to
Yes, sir.
make a motion.
Yes, sir.
I get the point of order.
Stop, Councillor. There's a point of order.
I get it. So in terms,
You got to stop talking, Randy. So do I. I have to go to Deputy Mayor Meloche, because he's calling a point
Sure,
of
I
order,
get it.
so I
Yeah,
got to find out
absolutely.
what this is about. Sir,
Okay?
Deputy Mayor Meloche, would you like to further just, he's getting off track, is that what you're stating?
Yes,
Okay,
grandstanding.
okay. Okay, Councilor
Okay,
Vogt?
thank you.
Okay,
So I'm just saying that as the strike continues, as a counselor and as a taxpayer, the cost for me continues. And so we have to, I'm asking, again, as I did last time, is they get back to the table, 2 requests tonight, and I'm asking council supports it. They immediately get back to the table for the second request, and that I'm reimbursed, and all the taxpayers I represent are reimbursed for the money they have spent so far for nothing. Because right now, there's a pot with probably 200,000 easy into it, right now. When I look at the density of Essex County, there's about 220,000 people in Essex County. So for just about $1, I can buy a coffee at Tim Hortons. I'll take that coffee starting tomorrow. And I want my money back. Randy Vokes wants his money back. I'm requesting that as a taxpayer. I want it back. Whatever the money it takes to cost to keep those county libraries open that I pay for through my taxes, I want that money back as early as tomorrow. It's my money. Thank you.
okay. So my question would be, you want the town of Essex to go to the county to get our taxpayers the money back?
When I pay taxes, Your Worship, as you know, it's threefold. It's education, county, and municipal. Whatever portion of my taxes is going to the county as a taxpayer in Essex, I want that money back. So when whatever that percentage is, that when Donna takes that tax money and sends it to the county for the initiative of keeping their libraries open, whatever that percentage is, I want that money back.
Okay.
There's no service.
So I think what you're looking for is the town to send them a letter to that effect. Because that's what we do. We take it, we collect the money, like you
Yeah.
say, for the school and everything else, and pass it on to them. So
Yes.
that would probably be
And
the
to
step.
date, and thank you for that, but to date, we have forwarded $200,000 to the county that nothing has been rendered, nothing. Seniors, children, people haven't had the opportunity to go to the libraries, but they're paying for it. Would anybody in this room,
Well, we understand what you're saying,
right?
so.
Yeah, you're right.
I've got
And
your
I'm,
point.
yeah, and thanks
Yeah,
for pointing
I
that
think
out,
we
because
all
I'm
have.
sure they understand.
Okay.
Yes.
Councilor Bjorkman.
Thank you, Your Worship. To the councillor's point, I can't disagree that we are all paying, and we're representatives of the taxpayers of this town, our town in particular. Everybody is paying for a service that they're receiving nothing for. I don't know how we go about it. I agree with what you're saying there, Mayor, that we need to go to the county, send a directive to the county and say, we would like to know, with what you haven't been paying out to your staff, where is that money being used, especially at this stretch? I mean, there's a 2-week strike. We've all been parts of small. This is not a small deal. This is a large deal, a big deal, and it's a lot of money. And we need to make that position clear that we're not happy, our taxpayers, our residents are not happy not being provided a service and paying for that service. So I can 100% am behind what Councillor Vokes is asking for at this time.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments? Nope. Deputy Mayor Meloche.
Through you, Your Worship, just to ease everybody's tensions on this issue. So what happens is, and it's the same as with the town of Essex, if we happen to do something in the town of Essex, collect taxes for something that doesn't happen immediately, there's a positive variance, and what happens is that gets carried over to the next year. So those variances will be used.
Point of order, Your Worship.
That being, Councilor Vokes,
Pardon?
that being, like,
Yes, I actually think when it comes to monetary considerations of any ratio, any measurement, that in the interest of his chair position, Deputy Mayor Meloche should be in conflict.
I don't know, he may be giving us information that we're not privy to.
It's not relevant information, Your Worship.
Wow.
It's
How do you know what he's going to say,
grandstanding.
Councilor Vokes? But how do you know what he's going to say?
you
You
can
made,
make...
you mentioned 200,000, you know, nobody questioned that. Now, if he's saying something that,
Point of order, Mr. Mayor, rule on the point of order, and let's get on with
okay,
business.
I am disallowing it. Deputy Mayor, go ahead.
Yes, I'm not in conflict of interest at this point in time. The answer that I'm giving you, I'm not making anything out of it, and neither is any of my family members or anything like that. I just want to point out the procedure and how the residents would end up getting their money back. So what happens is, as you were suggesting, and you're pulling numbers out of the air, $200,000. So let's say it is $200,000 that there's savings of, and there's a positive variance at the end of fiscal year 2016. That variance would be asked to be moved into the next year, and at that point in time, the budget request, instead of being, let's say it was 2%, and the 2% came to $400,000, there's a positive variance of $200,000. The request would come down from 400 to 200, and instead of asking for a 2% increase in funding from the County of Essex, the Library Board would only ask for 1% additional funding. And in that way, the taxpayer is reimbursed that $200,000 in that manner.
Thank you for that information, sir. Anything further?
Yeah, if I could.
Councilor Vogt.
Thank you, Worship. So to Deputy Mayor Meloche, so are you suggesting to me that anything that is not spent this year would carry over to the next year, and therefore we wouldn't have to contribute as much? Is that what you're saying?
That is correct.
Wow, that's interesting. So nobody would be increasing their mileage, per diems, their wages, because they know the money's there? No, they wouldn't do that.
That is correct.
That's right, yeah, that's what I figured.
Okay, thank you.
It's interesting.
Mr. Auger. No? No, there's no motion. There's a recommendation, though, that we're going to, right,
But-
Councilor Vogt?
Yeah, I'm going to put a motion forward that,
Okay.
if I could, that
Yes, sir.
all monies that irrelevant to the 2017 budget, as required by the Essex County Library Board, that all current monies be immediately returned to the taxpayer with no consideration of further budget considerations. And that the Library Board return to the table with CUPE on a second request at their earliest convenience.
Sort of. Minus relevant to 2017. Okay.
Okay, do we have a seconder? Councilor Bjorkman. Any questions to the motion?
Recorded vote, please.
Okay, Councilor Caxero.
Through your worship, just for clarification, this is a letter that's going to the county requesting this?
Yes. And to the board and CUPE.
Is that it, Councilor Caxero?
That's it.
Okay.
And I'm asking for a recorded vote, please.
Anyone else to the motion? I have something to say. After hearing from Deputy Mayor Meloche, this money will be coming back to us by hook or by crook by next year. Now, I don't know. It would be very interesting. I would like to have someone from the county here to tell us, you know, like we're demanding this money back. I don't know how much it is. Are they going to give it back to us? It sounds like Mr. Meloche has just told us what's going to happen to that money. You know, now, are they going to change things because of us? Like I'm not for the first half of this motion, but I am for the second half. I'm going to find it very hard to vote for it because after hearing from Deputy Mayor Meloche, I can't support the first half, but I'm sure as heck going to support the second half of the motion. So what do? Like, bang my head against a wall because of the first half and then, I don't know, go see the doctor and then vote for the second half. I can't do that. I wish you to make two separate motions. So at this time, I don't think I'm going to support it, so that's my comment. Anything further to the motion? Councillor Bjorkman. Oh, then Councillor Vokes.
Thank you, Your Worship. I think we need to, we're not looking at this properly. What we're doing today, right now, is representing our residents. If I was just sitting, if I will do the same thing, if I'm just sitting out there and I'm just Steve Bjorkman and I live over top of my store downtown and I've been paying my taxes and somebody comes to me and says, well, they've been on strike for almost 2 months. We have no services. What do you think of that? I would say, I want my money back. I'm just being a resident. Right now, sitting here, we are representing our residents. Maybe they won't send us the money. Maybe they'll look at it and go, no, Councillor Meloche told you how it's going to work out. But at least we can say, we're going after it. We're trying to put some pressure on making this thing advance. And if that's something we can do, I think it's well worth doing as residents of this town. We're supposed to be looking out for our residents' money. This is where it's going. The worst happens, they'll say no. But I believe it's the right thing to ask on behalf of the people that live here and are paying that money.
Thank you, sir. Councillor Vokes.
Thank you, Worship. I think, I want to be fair. And I'm just trying to be transparent, and I'm trying to be fair, and I'm not trying to be conflictual. But fairly, Deputy Mayor Meloche had his chance to speak to the issue. So I'm going to ask that a representative of CUPE have their opportunity to speak to the issue as they see it, and just to bring fair application to what we're doing. I don't think it's fair that Deputy Mayor Meloche, who has the authority through his chair to speak, and those people who have been without food and services for 60 days can't say nothing. And I'm just looking for a seconder to get their views on where they are in terms of the strike and the financial aspect of it.
We have a motion on the floor, and we must deal with it. Anything further to the motion on the floor? And there is a recorded vote required. Right, Councillor Vokes, by Councillor Vokes.
Okay. Councillor Vokes, how do you vote on the motion?
Support.
Councillor Bjorkman?
Support.
Councillor Caxero? Support. Deputy Mayor Meloche?
Opposed?
Mayor McDermott?
I support.
And Councillor Bondi?
Oh, no.
She's conflict. Rob.
Sorry. So on the question, Councillor Vokes, support. Councillor Bjorkman, support. Councillor Caxero, support. Deputy Mayor Meloche, opposed. And Mayor McDermott, support. With a recorded vote of 4 in favor and 1 opposed, the motion is carried.
Okay, good. Your show. Councillor Vokes?
I still stand on my motion to allow CUPE to speak in fairness. I'm very interested in, as a.
Okay, do we have a seconder?
Let me speak, yeah.
Supported by Councillor Bjorkman. Any questions to the motion? I'll ask for a recorded vote.
Sorry. My apologies. I'm just catching up, Your Worship. What's the motion?
The motion is that someone from CUPE be allowed to speak.
Your Worship, do we know who will be speaking on behalf of CUPE,
I assume it
potentially
would
to
be
the motion?
Lori.
Sorry.
Okay.
Wait a minute. To the motion, any discussion? I have a comment to make. This has got, having someone for CUPE speak at this time has got nothing to do with what we've just talked about. We've made our decision to go about what Councillor Vokes has asked for. We're doing it. We don't need to hear from anyone from CUPE. If it was president, there's no need to hear from him. That's why when the recorded vote comes, I guess you can tell how I'm going to vote. So, thank you, sir. No one else? Councillor Vokes.
If I could, to
Yep, go
the
ahead.
topic. Again, as a counselor representing the constituents of the town of Essex,
So
on
am I.
such a sensitive issue, I really fairly want to hear and balance both sides, because I say that I'm not taking no sides, and I'm not. And by having the opportunity to hear both sides, it creates a fair environment where we as a council have a willingness to listen to both sides, but not be judgmental, just to have the understanding of the conflict. And if I'm only hearing it from one side, I have a tendency to lean that way, because I'm not hearing the opposite side. And it's not to say yay or nay to nothing or support anybody, it's just to understand it. And get, your worship, either council's going to support it or they're not.
All right.
I can't speak again, so I'm calling the vote.
Okay. No.
Councillor Caxaro.
Through your worship, I don't have a problem supporting hearing QP for 5 minutes. I would just ask that you be respectful, because there were some of you that weren't very respectful when I was coming in, and I'm telling you right now, if you're not respectful at the mic, I will call for point of order, and that'll be it. So I ask that you be respectful.
On the motion to allow the delegation, Mayor, on the recorded vote, Mayor McDermott,
Opposed.
Councillor Vokes,
Support?
Councillor Bjorkman,
Support.
Councillor Caxaro,
Support?
Deputy Mayor Meloche. Opposed. With a recorded vote of 3 in favor and 2 opposed, the motion is carried.
And delegation, I believe it was Ms. Waitman. Thank you.
She's got it, yeah.
Thank you for giving me an opportunity to speak. I'd like to start just filling you in on a little bit of background. The Public Libraries Act says that the library board is the employer of the library, that the library board is in charge of the day-to-day running of the library, and that Essex County Council is the funder, not the employer. Having said that, I'll give you a little bit of background about the money. The library, Essex County Library, has saved approximately $197,000 in wages since the strike began. They have spent over $200,000 on security since the strike began. They have 5 managers working full-time for 59 days, managing I'm not sure what, because we're all out on the street. I can't give you the amounts for that because I don't know what they all make, but I'm guessing it's around $400,000. And while if there is extra money, as Deputy Mayor Meloche says, that will be given back, and I'm using air quotes, it will not be given back. It'll be put back into the budget. It will not come back to us in tax money. Our taxes won't be reduced. It'll just be used for the library next year. So we won't get that money back. You're mistaken, sir. The sick time policy that put us on strike will cost more than the sick time policy we have right now. It will cost more, in Deputy Mayor Meloche's own words, for the next 30 years. So the tax money that Councillor Vokes is talking about is astronomical and growing every day. So if you want to represent your taxpayers, you need to think about that, and you need to start asking some questions. Thank you.
And I would just like to say, because of Councillor Vokes, his recommendation, we What was that, Councillor Vokes?
I just got to ask a question to her, so I want to be able to hear her.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Worship.
Go ahead.
So tentative numbers, nothing profoundly proven. What is in total the strike today, under the assumptions that you've given, is anywhere to 600,000 plus?
At least.
At least 600 to 800,000.
Yep.
600 to 800,000.
We
Tax
have,
free.
we have been keeping track conservatively of just the security costs. And we were informed this week by two separate people who would know that our conservative estimate of $80,000 is more like 3 times that. So almost $250,000 just in security.
So with 7 municipalities, then my constituents would share $100,000. Wow. Okay, thank you.
Okay, Deputy Mayor Meloche.
Thank you, through your worship. Ms. Whiteman mentioned that the Essex County Library should run the library. They do. So I don't know. We're asking to be respectful, Ms. Suzanne there. Sue Ann. Yep. But the County Library Board makes the decisions for the Library Board. We made a decision to offer a similar plan to what the county was offering, but it was the County Library Board's decision to do so. We're talking about $200,000 spent on security. I've not seen anything telling me that it was $200,000, and someone who wants to make it sound excessive will make it sound excessive, and I think that's what Ms. Whiteman has done. I haven't seen any bills, and definitely you have not seen any bills, so that's a wild guess. Budget monies, to give back budget monies to residents right now, I don't know if you're saying that we should be giving them back in the form of a check. Write every resident in the county a check for $1.25. That would be totally irresponsible because it would cost more than $1.25 to write the check. The S&A plan, yes, will cost more over the next little while for the librarians because the Essex County Library Board made a decision that librarians would be allowed to keep their legacy days. Unlike the province, who decided that they're not going to have the sick plan similar to what the librarians have right now with the teachers. When they negotiated that away with the teachers, they just said that legacy program is gone. We as a library board took a much more easier approach to it and said that we're not going to wipe those legacy days out. The librarians earn those legacy days. We're going to keep those legacy days there. And that's the reason why it's going to cost more over the next 30 years. Until all of the librarians that are currently on the workforce right now retire, we're going to have that legacy issue. And so it's going to cost us more money. We could have said, we're not going to honor the legacy days, but we would not do that. The library board decided not to take those legacy days away. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Can I respond?
Yes, you may rebut.
With all due respect, Deputy Mayor, you say that you haven't seen bills for security, so that somehow makes my figures questionable. I would very respectfully submit you haven't seen the short-term disability plan that you've put us out on strike for. Emails on as late as August 9th, which was day 45 of the strike. They didn't know what the plan was, what it involved, who was eliminated from it, who didn't qualify. Day 45 of the strike. You didn't know that information. So the fact that you don't know the security costs, there's a lot of things that you don't know.
So I'm not going to make this a debate. I'm going to answer the one last question that Ms. Whiteman presented because that's not what this was supposed to be. But I can tell her that with the sickness and accident, when that issue did come up, because the county library board is looking to try and resolve the issue, but the negotiating committee from the union side would prefer to negotiate this in the media rather than at the table, because they could have come back and said that to county council or to Essex County Library Board, but instead they chose to release something of that type of information to the media. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to wrap this up. I'm going to allow Councillor Vokes. He says he wants to put an end to it, so I'm going to allow him to speak.
Thank you, Your Worship. Look at the, in terms of turning into a debate, that's what it's turning into, and I don't want that to happen here. I don't, because that process has to happen as soon as it can at the bargaining table. All I'm requesting in closure of this debate is that as a councillor, I can get an actual cost from the county of the cost it's cost me as a representative and as a taxpayer for this strike, for all 7 municipalities in a whole. That's what I want to know. And why they wouldn't give me that information would be beyond me. Because I'm requesting it as a taxpayer now, not as a councillor. I want to know. Thank you, Your Worship, for the time, and thank you, Council, and thank you, QP.
Thank you very much.
Next item on new business as added to the agenda this evening is Councillor Bondi speaking to the Harrell Center development fees.
Oh,
You just missed your
what did I miss?
Hero Center development fees. Oh, no.
Thank you. Just, actually, just a question, not so much on the development fees, more so than asking administration and to have a public meeting in Harrow Center about the recent flooding, to explain how roads are designed, to also talk about owner responsibility in terms of sub pumps and eaves troughs. I kind of want to, I see like a train wreck ahead of me and kind of like a deja vu with what's happening in Essex Center, and I really want to nip it in the butt and have a public meeting in Harrow to say this is how our roads are designed, and also to invite the community out to talk about problem areas. And together, hopefully, we can get a map of where the problem areas are in case we want to do any cameraing or look at the flooding issues that have recently occurred in the 2 storm events, one on Saturday in Harrow Center.
The questions, I have a question. The pictures I saw, other than the elevator, non-elevator
Legion.
decline at the Legion, was there any flooding?
I would say 10 to 15 homes have been flooded on Arthur Street North, on Arthur Street South, on Sunset Street. We have about 9 homes that are flooded. So I did post it on my Facebook for people to message me so I could kind of get a visual of where the issues are. And then there's also road flooding, which is what's supposed to happen.
Yep.
But I think we have to let the public know that that's okay and that's supposed to happen. But there is also some homes flooding and the Legion too, as you know.
Okay, well, through the emails, I didn't get that there was any flooding. All I saw was the roads flooded over, as was mine for the first time in a long time at my corner. But that's, like you say, that's what they're supposed to do. Collect the water, keep it from going to the homes. I don't know if there was one flood in the town, in Essex Center. At least I didn't get a report. I haven't heard anything, and I asked around the coffee shops and everything this morning. But you did say that there were floods in the homes. So, yes, that is a serious situation, not the road problem. Okay, I agree with you. Anything further?
So what are we doing?
Councillor Caxero.
Through your worship, I certainly did get some calls also. I was out on Sunset and Briarwood, the corner, those 2 intersecting streets, took some pictures. Another issue that was brought to my attention not only from this past Saturday, but a previous flood when, or a previous rainfall when the Legion flooded, is along Briarwood and Sunset, the center of the road, there's water actually bubbling up through the center of the road, and that's where there's actually some concern on behalf of the residents there. They certainly don't want to see a sinkhole, and that's what they're worried about. So, and I did get notified of some basements flooding. In fact, I have a cousin in the audience, his mother's house had water in the basement also. So, definitely, I believe there's more to the issue than just the roads are getting water in them temporarily when we have an extreme event. I think that's part of the issue, and I think we certainly need to educate the public in knowing that the road is technically like a floodplain. So when we get an extreme event, The road is meant to hold water for us, like a pool. And as the storm drain is able to take it away, the road water subsides. But I think it goes beyond that, and I think there are some problematic areas, so potentially some cammering in those specific areas, maybe not the whole system, and trying to identify the flooding that is going on. Is it due to failing sub pumps? Is it due to some sort of compromise in the basement walls, or is it a municipal issue? And I think we need to explore it a little further, and I think a public meeting would absolutely be in order.
Okay, Councillor Oakes?
Thank you, Your Worship. We spent a lot of time here talking about it tonight, but and I'm not disrespecting it. It needs to be addressed. So I'm going to ask that that administration, if they could cordially work with Chris on his schedule and his opportunities to have a public meeting. I think we do owe that to the residents of Harrow when a weather event did create such an invasion of their residents in their home. That's what we're elected to do. We owe that to them, to have those discussions and direction as to how we understand it and what we're going to do about it, and just share that with them. So that we'll work that through Chris.
Wait, make that a motion, because Councillor Bonnie was going to make that a motion, please.
That's okay, I'll second that.
Yeah.
Okay. Seconded by Councillor Bonnie. Any questions? All in favor?
Thank you, Council.
Motion carries.
Item 13D, as added to the published agenda this evening, is Councillor Bjorkman speaking to MPAC.
Councillor Bjorkman.
Thank you, Worship. Through you. A lot of people have been getting their MPAC statements the last couple of weeks, and unhappy, as always, with the statement when it comes. But there are some that really are seem to be out of line. So people are putting in appeals, and they're looking for ways to have support with some of our residents because of what we've had happen the last couple of years with flooding issues, with our temporary bylaw. We have people out there who can't get insurance for their basements. We have people who can't sell their house because when they try to sell their house, they look down in the basement and say, oh, well, we can't do anything here because we've been flooding. There's a lot of people that are on hold until we get our infrastructure work done. So I don't know if we can, but the point that I want to bring up is there a way that we can do up a letter of support from the town that just itemizes these kinds of things that are keeping people. The house value may have gone up based on the overall look of the county, but here in Essex, with a lot of them, they have restrictions there. They're not going to get that money for that house. There's no way that their house is worth that until we can correct those situations and they can again use that space for living space. So they're paying on a square footage that they're really not using. So for people who are making that appeal, I'm wondering, is there a way that we can do up a letter that would just support their appeal, saying these are the things we have in that we're trying to control right now, and that are keeping people from actually getting the absolute value of their house. So I'll send that to admin. Is there a possibility for us to do that? And then take that letter, post it to our website, so that, not that we have to send one out to everybody who needs one, put it where they can access it, pull it down and send it in with their appeal.
Is there a possibility, Mrs. Hunter?
Through your worship, I think we can do something like that. We'll work on it and get something out to MPAC.
That's great. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Oakes?
Thank you, Your Worship. I don't discourage the letter coming from administration to MPAC. I don't discourage what you're doing. But I know what MPAC's going to tell us. We all know what MPAC's going to tell us. MPAC is going to tell us that if you pay $85, you can appeal it. And if you lose the appeal, you don't get your money back. If you win the appeal, we'll give you your money back. That's what MPAC's going to tell you. So when we send a letter asking them to appeal it, they're going to say there's a current appeal process in place. That's what they'll tell us. I think we should somehow maybe redirect the letter on a different opportunity, because that's what they're going to tell us. That's the protocol to resolution if your MPAC assessment is too high. I asked the representative from MPAC when we had our council meeting a month and a half ago when she did her presentation, We requested at that time, I requested at that time, can we have a portfolio given to us of all the people in the Essex, municipality of Essex, who have appealed MPAC? She said she would get that to us, and I got it on my things to do list, and fortunately, you've raised it tonight as an issue. She's never responded to that. So that's telling me, there's so many appeals coming from Essex, she's ignoring it now. And so we need to really ask how many appeals are out there as we speak right now. Get that number. We want to know, at the request of council, how many appeals are out there currently.
Councillor Bjorkman.
Okay, I just need some clarification. I wasn't aware that there is a charge to appeal your assessment.
$85. And then
I haven't seen that.
Yeah, it is. It's on a win or lose. If you win, you get the money back. If you lose, you don't see it again.
Mrs. Hunter.
Through your worship, there is a fee. I'm not sure if it's 75 or 85, but there is definitely a fee
Yeah,
for
there
it.
is.
The problem being, if I may add, is not everybody that is appealing has had a flood, so it's rather difficult for MPAC to make a call. We can certainly talk to them and see if, in the case of a flood situation, whether they can look at a reduced fee. We can try and make some requests.
It doesn't
Okay.
hurt.
Councillor Bjorkman, you finish? Sure. You're the last question, Councillor Bjorkman. I'll finish.
Yeah, I guess just to that, even people who haven't flooded, our property values are down. When we're selling in Essex, what we could get, we've all painted with that brush of it's a flooding area. I just think it's worthwhile to have it up there for anybody in the town that's looking to access that appeal.
Mrs. Hunter?
Through you, your worship, unfortunately, right now, the market is such that the actual values of homes that haven't flooded, have gone up significantly in the last, they're going down now, but they were going up. Our CVA for our current value assessment is somewhere around 10%. So it's not affecting everybody. It's affecting some people, obviously, but not everybody.
Councillor Bjorkman, I'll finish.
Yes, sir, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Caxero and Councillor Bondi.
Through your worship, certainly I don't have a problem supporting sending a letter from the municipality in support of that, of trying to, I guess, explain to MPAC that maybe there's some special circumstances here that need to be taken into consideration. But I think a point of information with respect to appealing, you can also request for reconsideration, which costs you nothing. And I believe there's a little bit of a difference between the two. So there are two options. Appeal goes to a tribunal. The request for reconsideration, there's a form to fill out. Certainly if something's changed, such as I don't have living space in my basement anymore, which I did, and I was being assessed on because I haven't repaired it because of the flood that I had, and I didn't have insurance to cover it, that would change the value of the assessment. So that's something that they could do through a request for reconsideration, and it doesn't cost you anything to do that.
Right.
So, two different options.
Thank you, sir. Councillor Bondi?
Thank you. I think I support the theory of what you're doing, Councillor Bjorkman, but I'm confused about what we're doing. Are we doing a blanket letter for the entire municipality? Because frankly, there's been 2 rain events and Ward 4 is flooded. So are we looking at letters for Ward 4? And then we all know Belcraft Beach floods. So are we looking at letters for the Belcraft Beach area? Like, I don't know if it's the municipality's responsibility and if it's good for us to write a letter for everybody, because it could really be everybody, because flooding's affecting everybody, really. So I just don't know what we could do. Perhaps we could market it where people that want a letter of support have to meet, or come into town hall and pick up a letter. and then the letter's kind of tweaked to that region, whether it be Belcraft Beach or whether it be Arthur Street in Harrow, whether it be a spot in Essex Center. Is it a blanket municipality letter, or is it a Ward 1 letter? Because we have flooding in Ward 4 now too.
I would hope it would cover the whole municipality. Right, Mrs. Hunter? She's nodding her head. Go ahead.
Through you, Your Worship, it would have to cover the whole municipality, because like Councillor Bondi is saying, it's not restricted to just Essex Center. I guess my only concern is if we have residents calling to get a copy of letter of support, I'm not sure how many people we're looking at, but we only have a certain amount of resources. We can certainly try, but again, we've only got a certain amount of resources.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Vokes?
Thank you for letting me speak again to this. I'm very concerned. I appreciate what you're endeavoring to do, but I'm very concerned with the setting of a precedent. Because 2 years from now, a year from now, when somebody has an assessment done, the story is going to be told that if you go to the town of Essex, they'll write you a letter in support of your appeal because they did it once before, when that's not the case. This case is really a blanket letter asking for the, a fair consideration on assessments for Essex as a whole or Ward 1. I'm just concerned with the precedent-setting aspect of it. That's all.
Okay. Mr. Auger?
Moving on the agenda, item 15, any announcements from council this evening?
Councillor Vokes?
I'm sorry, what was it Rob just said?
Your Worship, speaking through your Worship, I don't believe we had a motion. There was direction from
We
Councillor
haven't
Bjorkman.
finished the previous issue yet.
We had a recommendation from
There's no
Councillor.
there hasn't been a motion put
No,
forward.
but he made a recommendation, and administration said they would do that. You want to make a motion, Councillor Bjorkman? Go ahead.
My original statement was I was asking administration to look into whether or not we could put a note together, and administration replied back that they would look into it and get back to us.
I'll second that.
Any questions to the motion? All in favor? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Okay, item 15, announcements this evening.
Councillor Caxero?
Through your worship, couple of announcements of things that happened this past weekend. I think some things that should make us proud to be part of the town of Essex. A number of us went out and viewed the Heat Harrow Eels Aquatic team meet out at Guestwood Camp. I want to say that certainly made me very proud as an Essex resident. It was certainly a very, very nice meet, well organized, well attended. I think 9 or 10 teams at the meet. From what I understand, one of the largest meets in southwestern Ontario. So that was certainly a very nice thing to attend, to see all the traffic from out of town down there. And certainly, I think they're going to be coming with the request for a pool as they have before. I certainly explained to them that I think the main issue or stumbling block is always the funding. And I urge them to start immediately on some sort of a campaign to raise money, because their case becomes a lot stronger if they come to council with money in hand. I also went out to Wetra in the afternoon. They had their RCMP musical ride. Certainly something that is unique and is not something that you see very often. First time I've seen that. They're only performing in 3 locations this year. It was here in the town of Essex. They're performing in England, and they're performing in the United States on the East Coast. So To be able to host an event like that in our municipality, I think, is also a very big feather in our cap, and seemed to be very, very successful and well attended. The session that I went to, the afternoon session, and they had a morning session. They were having a Sunday session also. So absolutely another feel-good moment for myself. And I just want to remind everyone that upcoming on Labor Day weekend, the Harrow Fair, I think, is celebrating their 162nd or 163rd year. So definitely one of the long-standing fairs in the area. A very nice fair to attend. It's your old-fashioned type fair, country fair. So by all means, we'd like to see everybody out to the fair.
Anything further? Thank you, Bill.
Item 16 on the agenda, bylaws. For third and final reading, bylaw 1546, the confirming bylaw from the proceedings of the August 2nd regular council meeting.
Move.
Support.
Moved by Councillor Bjorkman, supported by Councillor Vokes. Any questions? All in favor? Motion carries.
And item 16B, bylaw for first and second reading, being bylaw 1549, the confirming bylaw for the proceedings of this August 22nd regular council meeting.
Support.
Who said the support? Someone said it. Support. Councillor Vokes, well, if I see your hand, sometimes I can't understand. Councillor Vokes, Councillor Bjorkman. All in favor? Motion carries. No announcements coming up? Councillor Caxero.
Motion for
Coming up.
adjournment.
Okay. Motion for adjournment. Councillor Caxero, supported by Councillor Vokes. Any questions? All in favor? Motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Have a great evening.
That was a marathon.
No, you don't want